At the Veterans Center in Clinton, the new members of the War Veterans Commission heard reports on the finances of the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs, administrator reports, updates on construction projects, and legislative activities. There was only one hint that the agency is facing a growing list of legal battles over the level of care in the 7 state-run veterans centers, and it came in the form of an executive session, which occurred behind closed doors, and which no one would talk about once it was over. But the executive director of the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs, Martha Spear, and those who administer the facilities are feeling increasing heat coming from Governor Mary Fallin, who was horrified by reports of abuse, neglect, sexual assaults, and deaths that have produced many lawsuits. For newly appointed War Commission member Wes Benj, it is time for answers.
I'm anxious to get my feet wet, getting in there, and getting some issues resolved from the past. I've been reading a lot of stuff. I want to go and see for myself what's going on there.
The new chairman of the War Veterans Commission is Richard Putnam.
Information that's been put out in the public media is most accusatory. This is all new to me and to the rest of the commissioners, and we have pledged to deal with it.
Just what that means, Putnam would not say, except that he wants transparency from the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs.
I can't make any pledges. Except one, and that will be to be as transparent as is possible. Perhaps there's a capital P on the possible.
Requests for documents from the Veterans Agency by ONR and the Journal-Record newspaper under the state's Open Records Act have languished at the agency and the Attorney General's office for months, largely over what must be redacted or, in other words, blacked out. A request for copies of the public documents given commissioners during their meeting in Clinton is now more than a week old and has yet to be complied with. Documents that, among other things, detail the agency's finances. Through statements made by ODVA staff members during the meeting in Clinton, we do know this much. As of May of this year, something called the Budget Work Program has brought in $124.6 million and spent $103.6 million. The agency has $25.3 million in a revolving fund, money paid by veterans for their care, and $55.5 million more from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs for patient care. There is also just over $3.5 million held in trust for their patients. One of the major complaints against the centers is understaffing and a lack of training, issues that did come up at the meeting in Clinton.
We do have some recruiting issues. We have difficulties recruiting patient care assistants, and it takes a lot of them.
Martha Spear is the executive director of the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs.
We have needed more nursing personnel, and we've said that clearly, that we do not have enough nursing personnel, and so I think that we do have an open door here to improve that, and I believe that we will be able to do that.
That open door is an extra $1 million the agency got from the state legislature to hire more staff, even though the agency cannot fill current job openings. Catherine Kretzenbeck is the administrator of the Veterans Center in Clinton. She told the commissioners getting adequate training is difficult, in part because of location, but also because of persistent short staffing.
And we simply don't have enough staff to stay here and take care of the residents and also send them to training.
Even in large metropolitan areas, staffing is a problem. Christy Howell is administrator of the Norman Veterans Center.
We're continuing to recruit and hopefully retain and train new staff and existing staff. We currently have about 24 vacancies overall.
The total number of openings at the state's 7 veteran centers is unknown. Commissioner Wes Benj says it's time for change.
I'm going to all these other places. I'm going to check for myself with hopefully a couple other guys with me, and we're going to go check on the stuff ourselves because we're new to this. We are new. We don't know. Honestly, we don't know what happened in the past from what we read and what we hear. I'm going to find out the whole story and then go from there. And I tell you what, heads will roll.
And with the persistent reports of patient injuries, often explained as veterans hurting themselves, Commissioner Benj wants the truth.
I'm getting tired of people being blaming each other for something. I like to know whose fault it is, and I like to get down to the bottom of it and get it resolved. It's a big, bad thing for the veterans.
But finding that truth will take some time, in part because the War Veterans Commission now has 8 new members.
I'm so new. My responses to you are very vague, not because I'm being evasive, but just because at this point I'm completely ignorant.
The War Veterans Commission is getting some help examining the operations of those veteran centers. 2 state lawmakers have asked for interim studies to examine operations of the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs and the veteran centers it operates.